Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and with all the previews for the patch 11.1, I think it's safe to say it might be one of the biggest, if not one of the most content-filled updates of the War Within expansion. From a brand new zone to a new mode of transportation, as well as a ton of different endgame improvements from how you gear through dungeons, raids, but also delves. Well, delves are particularly getting a huge swath of the attention when it comes to Season 2, as they're looking to further improve on this third leg of endgame progression of PvE content within World of Warcraft. Delve started off very strong at the very start of Season 1 of War Within, with them being one of the best ways for you to be able to get early gear, but also some of the best items, as some of the trinkets from Delves, as well as even early starter gear, were very good at the start of a season. But at some point they kind of fell off, with players finding them not really as good when it comes to endgame gear and progression. And for many that were excited for Delves to be a proper form of parallel endgame content, they just felt like they didn't quite match up to M+ and rating, and they're trying to turn it around for Season 2 with additional crests, plus also Gilded Crests from Delves, better gear, better upgrades to Brann to supplement even more playstyles, but also a ton of new rewards for you to collect. And there's so much to talk about, and I felt like it was worth going over all of these new additions for the patch 11.1, even though the PTR isn't quite available for testing just yet. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates for 11.1, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe, especially as we finally will get some of the PTR realms online, hopefully sometime soon. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So as of right now, the patch 11.1 PTR is not live just yet, but it should be available sometime soon. As I said, it will be available during the early next year of 2025. So we should be getting the build very soon. But even then, even though we don't have it in our hands right now, we still have so much information, so much new stuff coming out for Delves that I thought is definitely still worth talking about. Delves were introduced as a new form of endgame progression that's meant to be parallel with dungeons, raids, and Delves when it comes to PvE content. And in Season 1, they started off strong with a ton of champion track gear that they kept chucking at you. I mean, you were literally drowning in gear from Delves. I feel like maybe they could add more crests from that bountiful box at the end of the run, and they're doing some stuff with crests in the future. Don't worry about it, but it was a fantastic form of just getting amount of raw gear on your character to outfit yourself in champion track pieces head to toe, which was amazing. The hero track gear from Great Vault is also very good, and Delves actually ended up having some of the better trinkets in the game for a handful of classes and playstyles that were the best in slot. So Delves definitely do have its own, I guess, leg to stand on as a leg of endgame content that is World of Warcraft. So that was really awesome. However, Delves, like I said before, lacked in crests, especially Gilded Crests. You got all this hero track gear from Delves, but you were never able to get enough Gilded Crests, unless you got lucky with maps, which is really not worth like trying to farm out at all. It's just very difficult to get. So you had to do dungeons, you had to do raids in order to get Gilded Crests to upgrade your hero track pieces. Otherwise, they'll be stuck at 619 item level, which is not ideal. However, they're changing that in Season 2. With the patch 11.1, we know that there's data mined Gilded Crests, and we know that they will also come from tier 11 difficulty Delves, which is awesome. The fact that you can earn them, even if you do have to tackle some of the harder content from Delves in particular, not just being stuck at 8, but having to do all the way to 11 with all the little challenges, all the little affixes, extra additional enemies, and everything hits super hard. With all the brand changes, it is going to help offset it, but you are meant to encourage players to do some more difficult content, whether it's a solo, whether it's a group of players, to get more Gilded Crests for those characters, which is really good addition. Based on early data mining, however, it does seem that the crest from Delves will work a little bit differently. And this is just early stuff that we found so far. This may not end up being the final product and may even be changed halfway through PTR, but this is right now how they work based on data mining. So every time you complete a tier 11 delve, you'll get a guild stash, or gilded stash rather, and inside it'll contain 6 Gilded Crests at a time, which is quite generous for getting a full run of 11. I mean, 11s are not going to be easy, but getting it 6 of them at a time seems very good. You, however, must complete an 11 with lives remaining. So if you run out of lives and you can't like get the full run and get it completed with that bountiful chest at the end of the run, then you will have to run out and try again. So it may take you a couple attempts, may need a good group composition or a little bit of gear before you can start really farming tier 11s easily, but at the very least, as long as you complete the run with lives remaining, you should be able to get your gilded stash. However, there's also some bad news with this data mining as well, as it seems like based on early data mining, again, this might not be final product, but it looks like you'll be able to loot Gilded Crest stash only 3 times a week. based on data mining. This means you'll be able to get 6 times 3, 18 Gilded Crests a week from delves, and that's about it. Up to a cap of 90, which right now for Season 1, we don't really have any crest caps because they removed all of those. You can farm these things as much as you want to, but over on the Season 2, at the start of Season 2, we're going to go back to having crest caps for Weather Crest, Rune Crest, Gilded, and Carved, and you will have 90 cap of Gilded Crests a week, and you can only collect 18 from delves alone. So overall, I'd say that putting delves or Gilded Crests in delves in particular, I think it's a good thing because dungeons have Gilded Crests, the raids have crests. Why shouldn't delves also have Gilded Crests as well? Putting a limitation on delve crests, I don't think that's what a lot of players wanted. I think players just wanted a new alternative way to be able to get Gilded Crests that is more consistent than, you know, randomly hoping for maps or Zekvira attacks within delves, so you could actually get more than just 2 Gilded Crests at a time. But I don't think a lot of players wanted to see a cap specifically. And I think this limitation is primarily there to help funnel players into group content, because delves, I guess you could run them as a group, but I think a good portion of players enjoy doing them solo or maybe in a smaller group with Brann. You know, it's part of the advantage of it is the flexibility and the fact that you could run them solo. You don't have to wait for a group in order to be able to run some delves. So I think they're just trying to find a way to not have players play a solo game, but rather find a way to wheel them back into the group content instead. Maybe they're worried that delves would devalue dungeons and group experience in general, or maybe they're just afraid that more players will just end up spending more time in delves than doing group stuff, because I mean, who else wants to be pugging LFG within Mythic Plus as of right now, especially if you're a tank? Have you seen the toxicity the players do to one another? So no, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of players would choose to do delves to gear their character if they could just get all of their crests. But what if you have a pure delve player who doesn't want to do dungeons, who doesn't want to do raids, who really wants for delves to feel like its own form of endgame progression? And to me, if I were that kind of player, I would feel that yes, delves should be parallel with other content. You should be able to get Gilded Crests from dungeons raids, but also from delves, and there should be a consistent way to farm them and grind them out, no matter how long it takes. You should be able to get them at a reasonable pace. So I don't really know how many players will enjoy the fact that there's a cap on crests, but I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Again, still early data mining. We don't have the PTR changes. Maybe by the time PTR realms are up, they'll hear a lot of the feedback and they'll adjust this so you can farm them, but maybe reduce the amount of them you get at a time. But we'll see exactly what they do with it in the future. But the fact that putting Gilded Crests in delves, I think is a good thing. I just don't really know how I feel about the limitation of how many you can get per week. Now, while this isn't a content update, this is a champion, or rather companion update, with Brann getting a handful of additions going forward in Season 2. Not only does Brann have access to a healer and a DPS role, but now Brann will also get the role of that of a tank, wielding a pistol in his right hand, a shield in the other hand, but also a boomstick once his shield runs out of protection. And Brann will get a variety of different talents, very similar to how we have the healer Brann with a bunch of healing abilities and utility stuff, or DPS Brann with a bunch of damage cooldowns like his battle harness, as well as an interrupt, as well as kill shot ability. The tank version of Brann will have a variety of abilities as well. From a veteran of Ironforge, where Brann will wield the shield and the pistol, providing him damage reduction per stack, and as the shield gets smashed up, Brann's survival instincts will kick in, increasing his damage dealt. When the shield is completely worn out, he swaps out to shotgun to maintain even additional pressure. Brann will also be able to summon a brown bear, a family bear that charges into battle, knocking enemies up in the air, and then the bear will prepare to strike enemies with massive stomps, which will deal damage, allowing allies within the bear's zone to also increase the dodge chance and maximum health to give Brann even more defense. As you level up Brann, you'll also be able to augment his weapons with electro charge gadgets, so all of his weapons will have additional effects that will synergize with healing specs, so Brann as a tank will be much better with a healer in mind. So his shield, while electrified charged, any healing done to Brann will also pulsate as nature damage to nearby foes. With electrified pistol, each shot of the pistol discharges an electrical current arcing through foes, reducing their attack speed, which is a great defense for Brann, but healing Brann also helps supercharge this pistol to do even more damage as it arcs it to enemy targets. With the electrified shotgun, each enemy hit by the shotgun has a chance to be knocked down, and healing Brann while the shotgun is active allows the shotgun to do even more damage. So there's some cool synergy between Brann and healer specs in particular, which is exactly what that tank and role was designed for. Even though you can utilize it as a DPS with some maybe hybrid healing capability, it is definitely suited to work with a healer in mind specifically. When an enemy would attack the player target, Brann can also lasso them back to him to maintain his aggression. He also has a sentry totem that can be deployed, electrifying him, but also nullifying 3 harmful spells and boosting combat capabilities of all allies. Brann will also have a slam ability where he leaps in the air, dealing damage while taunting nearby enemies to make sure that he picks up aggro from the get-go, as well as a lightning link, which allows Brann to generate an electro link that transfers damage done to allies instead back to him, so he allows to give your allies even more protection. And also he will have an explorer's journal, but for the tank, explorer's survival journal, that allows Brann's combat effectiveness, max health, and healing received to be increased as he gains additional levels. And overall, it seems like they're really thought through about all the different abilities Brann should have as a viable tank to make sure that he synergizes with healing specs in mind specifically, which is really cool to see. It means that Brann should be actually, hopefully, a fairly capable tanking spec going forward, and may end up helping groups have a much better synergy as to how they want to outfit the group, as well as Brann's role within every single party. Brann also will get access to a ton more curios, specifically goblin curios that are meant to be a little bit more impactful than all of the older curios available to him. And that is something I'm hoping that gets adjusted in the future. Is all his combat curios, for the most part, they're all good, but the utility curios are all very bad. There's only one curio that allows you to either augment the player, either making them larger, allow him to do more damage, or smaller, giving him movement speed and a boost of haste, but that's like the only good curio that is available, and all the other ones are kind of mediocre. So hopefully they'll redesign some of the utility curios at the very least, but it looks like all the goblin curios, especially the mech suit, should make you a lot better in terms of tackling some of the more challenging versions of all of these delves for the Gilded Crests. Outside of this, 11.1 will introduce 2 new delves, Excavation Site 9 and Side Street Sluice, which will have their own variety of different stories that you can compete in. So even though you're only getting 2 new delves, you are getting a couple of different variations of those delves, as well as the activities inside of them. But also all of the older delves will get new variations with new storylines, more variety of enemies, as well as all kinds of different encounters. There will also be another form of a Zekvir challenge delve as well, which I'm a big fan of. Huge fan of Zekvir, huge fan of the solo challenge, and I love the Mage Tower challenge back in Legion, so very excited to see what that looks like, or if it'll even be testable during the 11.1 PTR, which if it's anything like Zekvir, probably very unlikely. And with the new delve season, we got a variety of different goblin-esque rewards as well. Like the new Zekvir-styled rewards is going to offer a new Voidy mount as well. So if you're a big fan of the unique Delva's original mount that was available during Season 1, we're getting a new variation of yet another mount that's going to be made available during Season 2. It looks like it'll actually be called Delva's Gobtrotter, so while this one is called the Dirigible, the other is actually going to be a goblin-themed, similar type of a mount, but it'll have different kinds of customizations, goblin-esque customizations behind it, but also a golden variant for this unique boss fight encounter. Delves will also come with its own seasonal journey rewards as well, and I was not really impressed with the rewards from the Season 1. I mean, I gave you a couple of different variations of your Delver's Dirigible mount, which was nice, a toy, a couple more keys, and then a 50% off or discount from all of the Surfingly Murgleton's supplies, which I guess was nice, but I'm hoping there will be more cosmetics down the line instead of some of the Delver's Dirigibles or even keys, which I feel like super easy to collect from open world content. And I'm assuming that Surfingly Murgleton is also going to have a new array of seasonal rewards. I am hoping they upgrade the alt gear to at least veteran track of the new season. Maybe make it a lot more expensive, but at the very least make it somewhat usable. And hopefully there will be a variety of new pets, new toys, and also hopefully even more pouches for some of the reagents, which you could see them add even more of them down the line as well. And I'm assuming all the different hats from the season are probably going to get either more recolors or hopefully more variations, maybe even some of the goblin variations of cosmetics as well. On top of it, we'll also have a unique new variant of armor sets to collect, the world gear specifically. So for the current set of delves, we have the Hollowfall cloth gear, or rather the delve version, which is the blue, but we'll also have another variation of some of the, I think one of the best open world gear as well, which has this like a brainiac kind of a helm for the clothies. It has a very unique look for the leather, the plate, as well as the mail, which are all goblin themed as well. So that's going to be fun to collect all those pieces if you're a big fan of collecting cosmetics cosmetics for a brand new season. But with that being said, for now, that is going to be everything that we know so far regarding Delves in Season 1, and hopefully they'll really heed some feedback from the community as we finally get some testing over on the PTR, especially when it comes to those Gilded Crests. I am hoping they'll adjust it so you can finally collect Gilded Crests. I think there definitely should be a way for you to be able to get all of your upgrade currency and gear currency from all forms of endgame content, Delves included. As always though, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I do hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community for future 11.1 PTR updates. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, especially when it comes to Gilded Crests and Delves, and I'll see all of you guys in the next one.